Hey, Saidu here. Welcome to another CCNA Cyber Ops Labs. Now, in this lab, we'll be seeing how to work with text file in the command line. And the goal of this particular lab is to get familiar with Linux command line text editors and configuration files. Now, the required resources for this particular lab is the Cyber Ops Workstation virtual machine, but any Linux machine should be fine. Before you can work with text file in Linux, you must get familiar with text editors. So text editors are basically program or application that help user to edit text and do some various text work on your Linux machine. Now, there are some text editors that include graphical interface, while others are mainly used in the command line. Now, each text editor includes a feature set designed to support a specific work scenario. Some text editors focus on the program features such as syntax highlighting, like bracket matching, and some features like find and replace. Now, for the Cisco Cyber Ops VM, we only have SciTE or the Size Text Editor as a graphical text editor application. It's mainly to get you familiar with this some graphical text editor. Now the site TE or the size text editor is a simple, small and fast text editor. It does not have many advanced features, but it fully supports the work done in this course. Now something to note is the choice of text editor. The choice of text editor is personal, it's just personal preference. So the text editor that I found very useful or I like very much might not be the same text editor that somebody might find useful or he or she liked very much. So we'll go straight ahead useful or he or she liked very much. So we'll go straight ahead and test this SciTE or the Sci text editor from the virtual machine. I'm on my desktop now, host machine, so I will launch my virtual box and start the Cyber Ops Workstation. Now I'll log into this system using as the analyst using the password Cyber Ops. Now we are on the desktop of the Cyber Ops Workstation. So I'll navigate to this application here, then Cyber Ops, then click on this size TE. So let me maximize this. So this is the environment of the site text editor. It is a graphical text editor that we are going to see on this particular lab. Now let me copy some text and paste in this environment or in this text editor to showcase how it deal with text. So the text I'm going to paste here, literally you can paste any text here just to see how this particular text editor deal with text. So you can, after pasting the text, I'll go ahead and save it. Now, how do you save from this text editor? You go to File and click on Save As. So I'm going to save it under this directory, the analyst. I'll save it as space x space .txt. So I want to save it as a text file. I'll click on Save. So look at the title here has been changed to specs.txt. So I'll go ahead and close this window, the text editor. I'll try to open it again. Cyber Ops, STE, then File, Open. So you can see, you can notice that the file I just saved is not here. File I just saved is not here, despite the fact that we are on the same directory as before. But what happened is that the SciTE doesn't shows all files, so you have to come to this drop down to select all files. So here I'll now scroll down, look at the file we just saved, double click to open, and this is the text. Now I'll close this again. So another method of opening this SciTE text editor or size text editor from the command line, you can just go to your command line from here. Let me zoom it. Let me zoom in. So I can just type SciTE. First of all, let me list to make sure that my space.txt is stay here. So look at the file here. So I'll use the SCE, then space the SCE, then space the name of the file I want to open. Then I'll hit on enter. So look at, I now have my space or space.txt open now in this size text editor. So if you check, one thing to notice is from your command line, if you check, you see that the prompt is not available for you to type anything. Why? Because it is still running the SciTE text or the size text editor. The moment I try to return back to the prompt, this SciTE or the size text editor will now be closed. So watch out. If I press and hold my control key, then plus my C key from the keyboard, so I've successfully returned back to the prompt, but the text editor is gone. So that is or the size text editor. So another useful stuff is if you want to maybe run your speaks.txt or you want to run your SciTE as the administrator or as the root, so you can use the sudo command plus the SciTE plus the text file to open it. Example is this sudo SciTE then space txt. So it will require you to enter the password of the root, which is the Cyber Ops. So now you have opened your space.txt as the root. So I'll go ahead now and end it. So the second part of this tutorial or this lab is using the command line text editors. One part of this tutorial or this lab is using the command line text editors. The one we just saw is the graphical text editor. Now is the one we are going to see now is the command line text editor. Basically, this text editor are only used from the command line. They are not something like that does have the GUI as a SciTE we just saw. So the scenario where user might want to use the command line text editor is when he or she tries to connect to a remote computer through the SSH and the graphical interface might not be available on the computer. So in this type of situation, the text-based text editors are crucial. So but this is very, very true if you are connecting to remote headless servers that lack a graphical user interface, the Ubuntu server. Now, the Cisco Cyber Ops VM include a few command line-based text editors. This course focuses on Nano. So this Nano is available on almost every Linux. So, but another extremely popular text editor is the Vi. They call it Vi. While the learning curve of Vi is considered steep, is very, very deep. So, but Nano is very basic and it will get the job done for this particular lab. So, like I said, the Vi is very complex, but is also very powerful command line based text editor. So the Vi is included by default in almost all Linux distribution. So, but an updated version of Vi is named Vim, which stands for Vi Improved. So today most Vi users are actually using the updated version, the Vim. But for what we are going to do, and for mostly what you will be doing in Linux, Nano should be very, very capable. So from my command line here, I will go ahead and launch my Nano. So remember we saved specs.txt. So if I list it, specs.txt is still here. So how do you open specs.txt using the command line text editor like Nano? So simply just type in Nano, then the name of the file that you want to open with Nano. So this is how the command line text editor looks like. You have all your text here, and one thing to notice is that you remember very well this space or this text is not ending here. So you have a small dollar sign that tells you that this particular line of text is continued to the other part of the screen. So if I expand this, see it's still remaining. So if I use my arrow keys to take you there, or use end key from your keyboard to take you to the end of the line. So you see, you still have a dollar sign here from this page telling you that there are other text behind the dollar sign. So if I use my arrow key, left arrow key to go back, so you see the line end from this screen, the line end from at the May. So as I move it, extend toward pink. So that is something to note about the nano. So anytime you see a dollar sign, is telling you that another text exists. So you can actually get help from this nano. So by using control G, look at. So these are like the feature of nano. So the first one is control G, which take you to the help menu. Control X, will just exist this. So Control O will write out and Control R will read the file. So let me try the Control G here. So you see these are all the helps that you can get from Nano Text Editor. So you see Control G display this help text. Control X close the current buffer or exit from Nano. Then Control O write the current buffer or marked region to the disk. So you see there are a lot of things that you can do with Nano Text Editor. So let me close this by holding Control plus X key. So let me try to exit from this Nano. So right now, as I just exit or press the Control X from my key, made any changes to the file. So but if I open the file again and said and add something like so, if I try to exit with the Control X, it now prompt me and said save modified buffer. Then if I want to save the changes that I just made, I will hit Y key. If I don't want to save it, I will hit the N key. So now after hitting the Y key, it's showing me that do I really want to save it still as a space.txt? I will hit on enter, and that's all. So if I open my space.txt, this additional text is still there. So supposing I want to delete this, say and delete. So go back and let me try to exit out. So it will prompt me, do you want? So it will prompt me, do you want to save it? To say I'll hit N from my keyboard, no, and that's all. So if I open it, the text should still be there. So another thing is writing out. So let me try to delete this text. So let me do the writing out, Control O, write out. Then it is asking if I still want to save it using that same name, space.txt. So I'll hit on enter from my keyboard to save it as that, then Control X to exit. So that's all. Like I said, because we don't have much time to go over every feature of the Nano, but you can find this Control G very helpful if you want to know more about Nano. So let me on my Control X close. So now work with app is working with configuration files. Now in Linux, everything is treated as a file. Name it the memory, the disk, the monitor output, the files, the directories. From this operating system standpoint, everything is a file. The system itself is configured through files. Now these files are known as configuration files. They are just like text files that are used by different applications and services to store adjustments and settings for that specific application or service. Now, but these configuration files are not edited or are not modified by every user. So users with proper permission levels use text editors to change the content of such configuration files. So after the changes are made, the file is saved and can be used by related service or applications. So in the modification stage, use or applications. So in the modification stage, users define specifically how exact they want an application or a service to behave. So after saving the configuration file or the modified configuration file, when launched, that is when the application is launched the second time or the subsequent time, the application or the service check the content of the specific configuration file that has just been adjusted or modified by the user and change the behavior accordingly. So how do you locate this configuration file? Now, every application do have a kind of documentation, or let me say, every well-built application should have a documentation. So anytime that you are trying to locate the configuration file, so the documentation of that particular application or service should be of help because it will tells you where the configuration. So, but in Linux, configuration files that are used to configure user applications are often placed in the user's home directory, while configuration files used to control system-wide services are placed in the etc directory. Now, in the case of permission, users always have permission to write to their own home directory and are able to configure the behavior of applications they use. Now, from this particular directory, I'll try to open it by or list it by using the ls. So this is what I have. So but if I use ls dash l, it will list this in this way. So from what we just saw here now, none of these files seem to be a configuration file. So this is because it is convention to hide home directory hosted configuration files by preceding their names with a dot or period. So if you want to see all the configuration file under this particular user, you can do that by adding a to the l there. So this is all the files including the hidden file, because what the a does is typically saying display or list all files including the hidden files. So you can see some files that start with this period or the dot. So now from here I will try to open a particular uh, file here, this file named the bash rc. So how do you do that? You use your cat dot bash rc. So this is what I just have. So but you don't really have to worry much about. The goal is for you to just see that how to open a particular file here. So literally what this does is it tries to just show you the configuration of the terminal. So this particular line defines the prompt structure of the prompt displayed by the terminal. From this prompt here, you see the username at host name, or in this my case is analyst at secops, then this dollar sign all in green. So this particular line is the line that configure this analyst to be what in green. So this is the line that does configuration. It basically tells which color should be here. Right now it is green, but we'll see how to change it to other type of color. So the other line is alias. So this one is it display a color coded output for ls. So this one is a color output of what ls. So basically what it does is it try to show the directories in blue, regular files in gray, executable files in green. So if you remember, the ls we use here is up here. So the ls here will show you the directories in blue. So look at this is a particular directory in blue. This is a particular directory in blue. So the regular file is in gray, which is this. For example, this speaks.txt in gray. So we don't have any executable. That is why we don't have any green here. Now, According to the lab manual here, the specific syntax is out of this course. So, but what is important is understanding that user configuration are conventionally stored as hidden files in the user's home directory. So this is particularly or true for this particular user, that is the analyst. While configuration files related to user applications are conventionally placed under the user's home directory, so configuration files relating to system-wide services are placed in the etc directory. By convention, services like web services, print services, FTP services, email services are examples of services that affect the entire system and of which configuration files are stored under the etc directory. So let me try and go to the etc directory. etc. So this is the content of the directory. So I'll try to open bash lc cat. So this is the content of the bash lc, like the one in the etc directory. So the thing is, if I try to, let's say, try to edit it using maybe nano, this is nano, etc, bash lc. So you can see the one in here, this red sign here by this particular file. So what I will do is I'll open the file as what, as the root nano sudo nano etc bash dot rc. So I'll enter the password as cyber ops. So right now you see I do have permission to make modification or edit this particular file. So but the file defines the default behavior of the shell for all users. The one we just saw before is, if I scroll up, this one, it only does for the particular user, that is the analyst. But the one here, the one that I just recently opened, maybe this one shows the behavior of the shell for all users. Now, if a user wants to customize his or her own shell behavior, the default behavior can be overridden the .bash rc file located in the user's home directory. So, but this particular file here, because it is a system-wide configuration, the configuration file is placed under the etc and making it editable only by the root user. As you remember before, I tried to open the file using my cyber ops or the regular user. It didn't offer me the right to edit it until I used the sudo command. So the only difference from the other one we saw, that is the user application configuration files and the etc configuration file, is that regular user do not have permission to write to etc. So because Linux is multi-user operating system, placing user application configuration files under etc would keep users from being able to customize their application. So they do have the option of using the bash rc on their home directory. So as mentioned before, edit configuration file is very possible using the text editor. So what I will try to do here, according to the lab manual, is to edit the bash rc to change the color of the shell, prompt from green to red for the analyst user. So let me go out here and bring this. So I will go to my cyber ops, select this graphical text editor that we saw before. So let me maximize it. So let me open here. So because the .bash rc is hidden file with no extension, so here we couldn't find it here. We cannot find it here. So I'll go ahead and say display or show all file. So if I scroll up now, I should be able to see it now. So if I scroll up now, I should be able to see it now. This is the file that we want to edit. So I'll double click to open. So this number represents the color code of green. So if I change it to 131 and Control S to save it, and let me close it and open another new command prompt. So look at now the command prompt has been changed from green to red. And not one thing to notice is that this particular command prompt that I opened initially, I will continue using this as this will continue be showing the green color. So I can only see the red color if I open another command prompt. So this particular change we can also make this change using the command line text editor like the nano. So I'll go ahead and say nano bash rc, no, dot bash rc. So here, see, this is the change we made using the SciTE as the graphical text editor. So I'll change it to from 1. Let me change it to 33. So I'll write out an X. So if I open another, right now this one will still be was showing green. So until I open new command prompt, look at the command prompt has been changed from maybe green or from red that it was before to yellow now. Now, system-wide configuration files are not very different from the user's application files. So the NGINX is a lightweight web server that is installed in the Cisco Cyber Ops VM. So it can be customized by changing its configuration file, which is located in under etc nginx. So I'll close this file that is having the yellow. I'll continue to be using this one that has the green. So how do you edit this particular nginx? So from my prompt, I'll go to sudo. So because I want to open it as root, so I have to use the sudo command nano then -l to enable the numbering etc nginx nginx custom. This is the particular file that we want to open. Another thing to consider or to note is this .conf specifically tells you that it is a configuration file, so it is an extension for a configuration file. So I'll hit enter, open. I have to enter the password for the analyst cyber ops. So this is the use of that L that you saw me include in the command. So this is how it number them. So I'll go straight to line 39 to change the listening port. So if I scroll down to line 39, I should be able to see line 39. Okay, this is the listening server. So I'll now change it from 81 to 82. Sorry, 8080. Sorry, not 82, but 8080. So that is that. So next, nginx to listen to this particular port. Initially, it was listening to port 81. So I've changed it to listen to the HTTP request on port 8080. So I'll now scroll back down to line 47 to change or to add some particular part. So line 47 is here, and I just add HTML. Go to HTML, the text underscore add underscore lab. So I will now exit this. Prompt me to save. Yeah, want to save that. Yes. So what I will do now is to go to my. Let me now start this nginx sudo nginx -c then custom underscore server .com. Okay, I missed something. So nginx then underscore v PID. So I'll now go to my web browser, which is from this dock. Just click on the web browser to open. It's taking time. Okay, see, I'll open multiple. So let me do this, and let me try to go to this address 127.0.0.1 column 8080. So this is the page. So this is the page that you see after successfully visiting this site. So you see this is the port that we change from 81 to 8080. We tell the from 81 to 8080. We tell the NGINX server to listen to this particular request. So now if you check the command line, you see some messages that says you have successfully so this particular error is being generated using this. So it is missing this favicon.ico. So the error message was caused by missing favicon.ico file in the lab support. Now shut down the nginx web server first and type the command sudo kill nginx. So here just enter sudo kill nginx. So now we have successfully ended that particular server or service. So let me try to see if that is the case. So you see now it is not service has been killed. So but this particular file that we have just seen, we can also edit it using the graphical text editor like the site text editor. So you can just use sudo SciTE and say etc slash nginx slash custom. So this is the particular file we just edited, and this is the listening port which changed from 81 to 8080. So you can also edit this file using the graphical text editor. But mind you, you have to use the sudo command in order to have the root privileges. Now, depending on the service, more options may be available for configuration. So the configuration file location, the syntax, and the available parameters will vary from service to service. So whenever you are trying to edit a particular configuration file, always try to consult the documentation of that particular service or application. Now, but the common cause of problems is permissions or permissions. So make sure you have the correct permission before trying to edit configuration file. Always use the the root privileges to edit a particular configuration file. So another thing to consider, which is very very important, is after making any changes in the configuration file to any application or service, that particular application or service needs to be restarted often before the changes will take effect. So this is that is the end of this tutorial. I hope you enjoy it and I hope you learn something from it, and I will see you in the next one.